Hola, mi amigos.
Always in the fucking Spanish.
Welcome to the Fitness Business Life podcast. I'm here with my co-host, the main man, Steve-O.
How's it going, guys? Hope you're doing well.
Steve-O, what am I going to call you this week? Steve-O, the Spanish guy, Clark. I'm just trying to get into your lingo. Okay, man, so what is on the menu this week? What are we talking about?
Well, the thing is, we're going to talk about commitment, okay, and different types of commitment and what you should do about those commitments that you make to yourself or things that you find yourself in already. And one thing I like about this, we were going to talk about something completely different, and I love that, like, we're able to just, like, talk, and then the next thing we're like, fuck it, we're doing the podcast on this.
Yeah. So we were discussing some of the guys that go to the gym.
Yeah.
We were discussing lateness, and we were discussing not fucking showing up at all.
Yeah.
And those are two things that, like, really we can't deal with.
Yeah.
So
it fucking winds me up.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, you in terms of lateness, and me, like, when someone just doesn't show up, it drives me fucking insane, because I've always said to myself, you know, the hardest part is showing up, right? Even if it's not perfect, right? And, you know, by the way, we should say, listening to this episode, we're going to talk about commitment, but the listeners should go back and also listen to All or Nothing or something, because not only do we talk about commitment, we also say that even if it's not perfect, still show up in some way, shape or form. Stay committed, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah.
We should, you know, reiterate on that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
But we were talking about lateness, and then we were talking about not showing up at all, which basically drove us to now do this episode on people just not being fucking committed to the shit that they say they want to do, right?
Yeah.
And I actually have a saying which I want to bring up here about consistency.
Yeah.
Right? And it's, if you truly want to build new and positive habits, just do the simple shit required to get to the outcome that you said you wanted. And that just means be fucking consistent. Consistency is king. And it's just showing up on a consistent basis, even whenever it's not perfect. And that's ultimately what being committed is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of goes back to another episode. We talked about our favorite books, and we talked about Atomic Habits. Anyone finding it difficult to get into a consistent routine, anyone who's finding it hard to, like, commit to anything, I really recommend that book. Go back and listen to that podcast, get the book, it'll change your life.
Yeah, for sure. I love Atomic Habits. So I suppose, you know, one of the biggest things that people struggle to commit to is the gym, and that's ultimately what brought this episode about. So, like, you know, why do you think that is? Like, why do people say, let's say, you know, January's just around the corner, and we're going to have an influx of people in January. It always happens. People commit, or at least they say they've committed to a change in January 2020. This is the year that I'm going to do this, this, and this. Why do you think it is that people let go of those commitments, let go of the promises to themselves? Because ultimately that's what a commitment is. It's a promise to yourself. And I'm a big believer in that if you can't keep a promise to yourself, that is where low self-esteem comes from. It's knowing in your head, I didn't keep the promise to myself. I didn't stay committed to the thing that I said I was going to do. So ultimately you end up feeling like a piece of shit because you didn't keep a promise to yourself. It doesn't really matter what you said to other people, even though public accountability is, you know, it's a great thing, and people will go to great lengths to make sure that they don't look like a fool in front of their peers and they get called out. And people will go to great lengths. Public accountability is a great thing, and it's a great thing that I use as well. I always use public accountability to make sure that I put myself up on the stage so that I stay committed to the things that I'm going to do, because it's too easy just to make a promise to yourself and keep it within yourself. But why is it that people just fall off the wagon? Like, are they not fully invested in the thing? Do they need to do something different than just say to themselves, this is going to be my year?
It's probably, I think it's probably a whole mixture of all of those kinds of things. I think in the grand scheme of things, like, regardless of what the timeline is, people don't really see the long game. So if you're talking about, you know, like you said there, it's going to be January soon, and this is going to be my year. But people haven't even got the fucking focus to see a year, you know, and take a step back and see, this is what I'm going to do in January, February, March, April. And don't get me wrong, I'm one of those people, so I find it hard to see a long game in terms of a year. Maybe not so much in terms of a month. And if we want to break it down in terms of people who are maybe, you know, new starts to the gym, like you said, we're going to see a lot of them in January. People who want to get a little bit healthier, start a gym, their timeline is going to look like weeks and maybe even in some cases days. There's a video that I've watched a while ago, and it was a guy, Elliot Holtz, you've probably heard of him on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube did.
And one of the things that I really, really love that he came out with about building consistency, and especially with, you know, training or food, is the rule of 3. So all you have to do is take a 3-hour block and do really, really good things in there. So eat really healthy meals, eat your water or drink your water. And then at the end of that 3 hours, you go, sweet, now I just got to do it for another 3 hours and another 3 hours. And those smaller segments are easier to build to create your day.
Okay.
Whenever you do 3 days in a row, then you're able to, you know, do weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row, 3 months. And then
momentum.
Yeah. I think people are focused on the short term in both respects. So you go, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this 6-week course, or I'm going to do this 12-week transformation. But then what happens for the rest of the weeks of the year, or the weeks of the month, or whatever? But on the other side of things, if people, you know, don't show up to the gym, they're lying in their bed, or they're, you know, away off doing whatever it is, or they've got a hangover, they'll say, oh, I only missed 1 session. But that 1 session turns into, you know, 2 sessions a week or 3 sessions a month, and those slowly and surely like build up. And once you kind of start giving yourself those excuses to go, well, it was only 1 session, or you go in the next week and go, but I didn't miss any sessions this week, and you're like, fucking well done. That's what you said you weren't going to do anyway. You know, you said you were going to be here 3 times a week. Well done, you did what you said you were going to do. What else are you going to do about it? Do you know what I mean?
Get that completely.
So I think whenever you start giving yourself those small excuses, it's kind of like, I'll go back to Atomic Habits. He says a bad habit doesn't have to be considered, you know, smoking or anything, or a good habit doesn't have to be working out every day. It's like the routine and the emotion and almost like the response that you get from doing an action and the result that you get from it. That's the thing you crave. It's not the actual action. So lying in bed, yeah, you lie in bed for a wee while, but it's the feeling of comfort and warmth and not having to wake up in the middle of the, you know, the dark mornings now. But it's as simple as, you know, turn the light switch on in a room. You know, you just flip the switch because you want the room to be light. All those small things, as soon as they get into your head, they give you the result that you were looking for. In which case, if you choose to stay in bed rather than go to the gym, you're looking for comfort. And you're not looking to change yourself in the way that you said that you know you need to do. And I think that's, you know, that's at a fundamental basis.
Yeah, for sure. I actually heard Jocko Willink speak about this here the other day, and he said the term "do what makes you happy." It's a great term. You know, a wee bit, right? But people should do what makes them happy in the long term. Short term, though, people should do the opposite.
Things that make you uncomfortable. The
things that make you unhappy and uncomfortable, right? Because let me tell you now, I'm up at 4:30 a.m. every single morning, and I'm in the gym for 5. Do I enjoy doing it? Fuck no. Like, I want to stay in bed. It's freezing up here. Right? I live up the mountains now. It's freezing. Like, it's freezing in the gym every morning. The bars are fucking ice cold. I have to go in and turn the heating on so that when people are coming in at 6,
it's warm for them.
It's warm for them, right? So it's fucking cooked me, and you were there this morning. So short term, that makes me unhappy. But long term, I know, you know, right now I'm training every day, feeling great shape.
It's what you need.
It's what I need long term. So yeah, sure, long term, do what makes you happy. But short term, actually do the thing that makes you uncomfortable and unfucking happy, because it's going to serve you long term.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I always kind of relate these types of things back to boxing, because it's what I know, right? Now, I actually wrote about this a while ago, and I kind of thought of it is think about a year, think about a year's process, right? A commitment that you make over a year. And I've done this a few times now in the last few years, and it's helped me. It's been, a very successful process that I've went through. I have made a commitment to myself at the start of every year. I actually started this a few years ago, and it was I wanted to change my career at the start of the year, and I've done it that year. So ever since then, I've made a commitment to myself at the start of the year. I've written it down and I've said, this is what I want to do, whatever it is. And that's been my sole focus throughout the year. And the way I like to approach it is, if you think about a prize fight, okay, it's 12 months of the year, it's 12 rounds in a prize fight.
Right, yeah.
You have to have a strategy in a prize fight. You can't go out in round one, all guns blazing, and think, right, fuck, I'm committed to winning this.
Yeah.
Okay, because what's going to happen is you're just going to blow out of steam in round 2, 3, 4, and you're going to end up KO'd, and you're going to lose, right? But if you approach it with the right strategy and think, right, this is the last 3 rounds, we're in round 10, 11, 12 now. Ultimately, what I should be wanting to do is pick up the pace, because the person that I'm fighting is going to be tired. They're the one that's going to be, feeling the pace. Fuck, I'm taking the pace up these last 3 rounds, and by the end of round 12, it's my hand that's going to be raised at the end of it, and that's what a fucking commitment is. It's not saying, January, I'm going to go balls to the wall here and I'm going to do, eat sawdust dad for 6 days. A commitment is a year. Think of it as a year.
Yeah.
As 12 round price fight.
Yeah, and see, whenever you think about it, like a year, like it's October now. Do you know what I mean? All the new year, new me things, and people are going, holy shit, there's like, 2 months left or something of the year, and you're like, where the fuck did a year go? So you don't want to be in this position this time next year saying the same thing over again.
How many people do you think will, though?
I can guarantee there's a lot of people that are going to be doing it.
Yeah.
A lot of people will come in, all guns blazing, January, new year, new me. Even people, like taking their business to the next level or whatever it is, and they'll either get too far ahead of themselves and, be already sprinting by the time that they kick the stone and fall over, you know what I mean? Or, they just won't be able to forecast what's about to come.
Yeah. I know. So I made a commitment to myself in November last year, and I stayed true to that commitment the whole way throughout this year. And in the last 3 months of the year, I'm going above and beyond on my commitment, purely because I'm like I said, this is a fucking prize fight. I'm fucking going over and above right now. And all of the things that I said I was going to do at this stage now, I've done. So right now, and I've made myself like publicly accountable to a group of people that obviously, I trust and I respect. So I've made myself accountable to someone that I don't want to let down.
Yeah. And
because I've done that, I've went over and above, and I've delivered. And me personally, the feeling that I get from that is like, holy, if you're talking about self-esteem, how great a self-esteem does that give you when you say, right, I made this commitment at the start of last year and I stuck to it the whole year. A year.
I know. I'm kind of glad that you brought that up, because my next thing I was going to say to you is, why are you doing it? Like at the end of, no matter what it is that you pick, like you may have not told me what your goal was for the year, and let's say a month ago you achieved it. It wasn't like you threw a party to say, yes, I did it and all that sort of stuff. And if you had have, I probably would have went, oh, well done. But if it was for my satisfaction that you were doing your thing, then it's fucking pointless. Like, is that a part of consistency? Because it's only you that you want to stay, true to, or work for, or please, and get that kind of.
I think that should be the main aim for most people. Obviously, you want to make the people around you and the people closest to you better, and you want to have a better life, and you want to have a successful life, regardless of whatever area, be a fitness, business, life, whatever. So I think ultimately the main aim should be just to improve yourself, and that can only happen is if you keep the actual promises to yourself, regardless. Because, like you just said, I didn't tell no one what my. Like, I could have, apart from the person that I said. I didn't run down to the gym and say, hey, I've got this goal for, 2019 and I want to do this, this and this. I just kind of worked away at it and plugged away at it, and it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of had to navigate the whole way. But ultimately, it happened, and I kept the promise to myself, and that's where that's what being committed is.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing the work whenever you don't want to, but you know it's the stuff that needs being done.
Fucking right, dude. Jesus Christ, that is it. Do this Sean McGarty, he always said to me, do what you said you would do, even whenever you don't want to.
Yeah.
And that is fucking making a commitment. If you said you're going to do something, and I wish I was kind of thinking about this whenever we were talking about this today, actually, and I wish I had the same sort of knowledge around this whenever I was boxing, because quite often I found myself making commitments and not sticking to them when I was boxing. I was young, and I would say I was probably a late developer, in terms of acquiring this information about how the mind works. Back then I didn't know how the mind works. It was just physical for me.
Yeah.
It was a sport, I showed up, I done the work. Okay, it involves a lot of mental energy to show up to that type of sport, but I didn't know the things that could help me along in terms of keeping a strong mindset and, just showing up and doing the work consistently. Like, I didn't really know that. I kind of just done it but now that I've got that information and I know what it takes in order to succeed, then I wish the fuck I had have known this years ago. Like, if someone's listening to this now and you're in your, late teens, early 20s, and commitment is an issue for you, like, take this information on, just keep fucking showing up every single day, and sooner or later it's going to happen for you.
Yeah, it's those kind of points that make the commitment, no matter how difficult or how big it is, whenever you know the fundamentals of just getting it done, because in the long term it's going to be better off for you, it makes the hard things almost easier to do.
Yeah.
No matter how difficult it actually is. I mean, I'm sure at times it's grueling and stuff, like having to get up early in the morning or having to have meetings and stuff about things you probably don't want to talk about or whatever in business, but whenever you know that in a year's time it's going to bring you to the next level, then it makes it all worth it.
Yeah, big time, dude, big time. We were talking about different types of commitment as well, which you were sort of saying. So, there's choice commitments, and then there's commitments that are that kind of just come with the territory, right? So
basically, like I was kind of talking about it, like, is it your choice or is it forced on you? And I kind of think that the word forced is probably not the right word. I kind of changed it to fixed.
Okay.
So I was talking about things, like if we're talking about, your average Joe, 9-to-5 worker and stuff like that, family, kids, whatever, there's commitments even in just those few sentences. If the person doesn't get up and go to their 9-to-5 job and do the things that's required of them every single day, well, guess what? You're going to fucking lose your job.
Yeah.
If you don't get up and you don't go to your 9-to-5 job and you don't do the work you're supposed to, you lose your job, and then you can't support the family and the kids and stuff, and you can't go and do the nice things and the holidays and stuff. So I would say people can relate to that very, very easily. Like, people are very happy, and we've seen it. There's loads of people coming in and out of the gym and coming in and out of the academy who may not necessarily be in jobs that they particularly enjoy, but they still show up every day at 9-to-5 doing something that they hate. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's just a dislike, but sometimes they fucking hate it because it has a long-term goal of keeping a house, keeping a car, keeping the kids fed.
Yeah.
So we know that those types of people have that mental capacity and the mental drive to do those things.
To do the work,
It's just about saying, okay, so here's the thing that you have to do, and here's the thing that you've told me that you want to do. Is that the case? Do you want to do this? Yes or no? And if it's a yes, then here's the things that you got to do it. And achieve it and all this here. And if then they say, well, I can't do that, and they go, okay, well then you didn't want the thing that you said you wanted. We're going to have to up to that then. And that's fine. Like we were saying in previous episodes, showing up and doing something is better than not showing up and doing nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you don't want the, what word am I going to use? Like the holy grail result or whatever it is that you want to call it, and you want something a wee bit less, or you think you can manage something a wee bit less, then just do that.
Just do that.
Just do that until that's now your routine, and now that becomes almost like a forced or fixed kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just becomes a part of your day.
Yeah.
Like people who have been in the gym with us for years now, and you go, okay, you're kind of used to this now. Want to ramp things up a wee bit, and then that's where you start having those developmental talks with them about their training and food and whatever.
Because you've built the base, you've earned the right to step up rather than just going straight in. Let's step up the plate here straight away when I haven't done football. They actually
because if you think about it, their 9-to-5 job was they had to get used to that 9-to-5 job. Then that became the baseline. And then they're like, well, I think I'll maybe join a gym as well because the family things all worked out in 9-to-5 and getting up every day and going to work. Now go to the gym. That needs to become the new baseline. So gym and work are the new baseline. And then you go, right, well, where can I take it from there? And then if you want to have, a side thing, if you want to get into some other sort of work, or, we see people coming in to the academy looking to do personal training, but they have a full-time job at the same time.
Yeah.
So those things, like to manage that time, is a big commitment. They've got all the things that they were doing before, and now they're taking on something new. Mm-hmm. But through those actions of work and gymming and all those things, they've learned the skills that are required and the mental toughness, basically, to do the things that they know they need to do for the greater good of themselves.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, for yourself, what do you think the biggest commitment is that you've ever made? Either forced or chosen? Like, what's the biggest commitment? Actually, do you know what? What's the biggest chosen commitment that you've ever made, and the biggest outcome that you got from it? Mm-hmm. Or did you get the outcome? And how did you feel when you actually got it?
Okay. The biggest chosen commitment that I made was, it's a mixture of the two. It goes back to Oliver again, mm-hmm. and choosing to change who I was, basically.
Okay.
Because I was with this identity. I used to act and I used to sing and stuff like that. And then basically I was, big Steve-O, fun Steve-O, always out drinking and stuff like that. And you're like, shit, baby's coming, can't do that.
Yeah.
But then, falling in love with the gym, falling in love with helping people and seeing the change that it made with me, not only on a physical level, but on a mental level, and realizing my responsibilities, I was just like, obviously that gave me some sort of mental toughness and some sort of willingness. So the best choice I ever made was coming to work for you.
Okay.
Because now I get to do that for other people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's I 110% love my job.
Yeah.
And it's the reason that I get up in the mornings. Do you know what I mean? So, it's a no-brainer. It's not even a choice anymore. It's ingrained in me.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? That's my thing, and that's what I want to do.
You build that base.
Yeah, exactly. And then it makes everything else so much easier. Do you know what I mean? To go on and do whatever it is. If I want to go and, I don't know, if I want to do a powerlifting competition, or if I want to try and lose a few pounds or whatever, everything's just trivial whenever it compares to having, the basic shit down.
Yeah, love that, man. Absolutely love it. I would say definitely, I would say going into business for me was probably the biggest commitment. No, it was the biggest commitment through choice, obviously, that I ever made, because I quit a job for life at a time when my wife had just fallen pregnant. We had just bought our first home. I had just bought my first car. I had built-in responsibilities like a fucking brick house do. And I chose to make a commitment to go to work for myself. Possibly influenced by the arrival of Oliver. Was imminent, possibly influenced by that, and I made a commitment to say, and as we're talking, I said earlier at the start of the year, I said that I was going to change my profession, which I did do that year. So I made a commitment to say, right, I want to help people in a certain way. And I know that I can make more of an impact on my time on this planet by doing this particular thing. So that was probably the biggest commitment that I'd ever made, and I've been doing it for a hell of a long time now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't regret 1 second of it. The down times, the good times, like all of it, don't regret one bit. Because I know we're talking about building a baseline, right? And I always heard Andy Frisella talk about people who get it easy in business, right? You got a fucking rich daddy who left you $500,000 for your own startup, right? Let's face it, that's fucking easy. Anyone can make a success of that. If you don't make a success of having $500,000 fucking left to you, you're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry, right? But having nothing, like literally zero, right? And making a commitment to say, do you know what, I'm going to grow this thing. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to fucking do it. To today, I don't regret one bit of it. Yeah. Not one bit.
It's kind of like the thing we talked about. I'm going to fuck the quote up, so I'm not even going to try and say it properly. But it's like, if you give a climber a choice of climbing the mountain or getting a helicopter ride to the top of the mountain, they're going to see the same view, but it's the journey along the way that makes it. So all those tough decisions and all those like obstacles that you have to overcome on the way are kind of like those waking up at 4 a.m. and you know, like doing the things that you don't want to do. But when you get to the top of the mountain, you see the reason why you did it.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. You know, if I had a competitor who was fucking, you know, got left $500,000 and they were up against me for something, like I'm gonna fucking wipe the floor wet, dude, because they are unable to make the tough decisions and stick to the fucking commitments needed because they've got it so easy. They haven't built that fucking baseline. They haven't built that brick house of fucking toughness in order to say, all right, okay, I can face these challenges, because it does. It comes. Everything that you commit to comes with challenges. Stop thinking that it's going to be fucking easy and then it will get easier. You know?
It's not easy.
No, like
you just gotta get used to it.
It shouldn't be. People. I think people have this thing where, right, I'll commit to this goal. It's going to be easy. Yeah. And if it is, then like it's not. You know, it's not. It's probably not a worthwhile goal in the first place. It should be fucking difficult, and the sooner that people realize that, the easier it's actually going to be for them to execute on the goal. Yeah.
It's kind of a no-brainer, but like you said, if you go back to you as a young boxer and stuff, it's only now that you're kind of realizing these things and stuff, even though you may have had the mental toughness to do it or whatever, but it's kind of good looking back. And hindsight's a brilliant thing.
I know.
When you've been there and kind of done that.
I know, man. It's like there was definitely times where I could have been mentally stronger. Like I remember a few occasions, especially making weight, right? Making weight is the worst thing ever as a fighter. Like, it is absolutely brutal. And I remember on this one occasion, we were traveling to Wales, and mind you, like, we weren't looked after very well. We had to get an overnight boat. Right? Yeah. And we were all fighting the next day.
Exhausted and freezing and
trying to make weight, and it was horrible, like, right? But we all went to sleep on the boat while trying to get what sleep you could. Yeah. And we weren't booked in for the beds or anything like that. We were just fucking sleeping on the deck, right? And the next morning, I was a few pounds overweight, and I just went, you know what, fuck this here. I've had enough of this shit. I'm eating something. Like, I don't even care. And I did, right? And I got there, and I didn't make weight, so I ended up fighting in a weight class heavier than what I should have. Had I just not at the fucking fry, right? Had I just not at the fry, I would have made weight, and you know, I don't know.
Things would have been different.
Maybe I would have fought. I don't know what way it would have went, but it's those wee things that kind of make all the difference. It's those wee small choices that make all the difference. And looking back now, I think, you know, did I not eat that morning? Would it have made a difference to my life now? No. Yeah. in terms of my own self-esteem, in terms of the promise that I made to myself, though, yes, it would have made a fucking difference because I would have stuck to my promise.
Yeah.
People say the only workouts I regret are the ones that you didn't do, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The only runs that I regret at 6 a.m. in the morning are the ones that I didn't do when I was fucking 17.
Yeah. It's yeah. I was actually talking to Megan, one of the other coaches in the gym, the other day, you know, talking about certain people maybe, you know, skipping 2 burpees out of their workout or, you know, leaving a few reps out, and I was kind of like, you know, that kind of builds up. So if that person comes in 5 days a week and they always skip 2 burpees, that's 10 burpees a week.
Yeah.
That's 40 burpees in a month. And then when the next month comes, they're like, do you really want to look at yourself and stand on the scales or look at the before or after photo from a month's difference and say, I probably should have done those 40 burpees?
Yeah.
That's the question you don't want to have to ask yourself. You're like, you want to be able to stand there and say, I'm glad I fucking did those burpees.
I gave it everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Left nothing the chance, and you fucking did what was like expected of you.
Yeah, for sure, mate. I try to do that now with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like absolutely everything. Like our one core value now in the gym is do more than just enough.
Yeah.
And I fucking absolutely love that because it's like what I try to do with absolutely everything now, and I'll go back and I'll analyze everything. Could I have done more there? If that's the case, then just fucking do more the next time around.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Make better of it.
Make better of it the next time around. If you feel like there's more there, then do the extra. No one ever became unsuccessful for doing extra.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, you know, it was the opposite. Yeah. So, is it the All Blacks? One of the books that we were talking about, Legacy.
Yeah.
And theirs is what's the saying they have?
Cleaning the
sweep the sheds. The champions do extra.
Yeah.
Champions do extra. Absolutely love that as well. And I think you know, in terms of if you're going to make a commitment to yourself, do extra.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's always going to pay the bigger dividends.
Mm-hmm. We'll give the people something to take away then, something maybe practical they could maybe work on. Is there anything that you can think of in terms of, you know, trying to be consistent and sticking to any commitments that you've made to yourself?
Definitely. I would say to do the small things to the best of your ability. All of this, like, there's no one small, like, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're willing to skip 1 burpee, or if you're willing to do, you know, the bare minimum just to get this thing done, chances are that's how you're going to
succeed.
That's how you're going to bring those characteristics into absolutely everything you do, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're willing to let the small things slide, then chances are is that you'll let the bigger things slide. So really focus on the smaller things and stay committed to making those better, which is going to then affect the bigger things.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
I think there's no greater thing than good accountability. Like,
definitely.
I've looked for accountability in a lot of different places in the last couple of years, and you know, not all of them worked out, and maybe, you know, I needed more from them to kind of keep me, you know, under pressure or whatever. Yeah. But whenever you've got someone who knows what you said that you were going to do and are willing to call you out on it,
yeah.
You know, sometimes you get
just like I'm going to call you out.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. It's kind of like, you know, if you've got a partner or whatever, you say, I'm going to stop going to the gym or whatever, and then you go home and you go, I've had a bad day, and the partner says, well, you've had a bad day, let's just sit out and watch TV. That's not good accountability.
Nah.
The accountability that you want is your partner standing at the front door with your gym bag and your shoes going, turn around, get the fuck to the gym. Someone who's willing to push those buttons that not everyone is willing to push to help you, because at the time it sounds like they're busting your balls, but again, like we said before, it's doing the hard things. It's the things that you don't want to necessarily do. And at the end of it, you're going to thank that person. Thank you so much for making me do that. Thank you so much for making sure that I didn't miss a workout, or that I ate the way I was supposed to eat, or did the video that I was supposed to do. You know what I mean? So
fucking, I live with someone.
Well, that's a good thing, though, isn't it?
You know, Katrina, like, there's nothing gets past Katrina.
This is nothing.
Nothing gets past her. This is nothing. So if I say that I'm going to be up every morning at 5 a.m. down to the gym, And if she wakens up before me, like, I will have hit. She'll just give me that look, like, you said you were going to do this. Fuck, dude.
I wouldn't even put it past her to set an alarm before yours to make sure that you were going to do it, just to have something to say.
Dude, there's no getting past. But I mean, it holds me kind of like,
it works.
It works. I mean, I'm happy to do it. Most men, I would say, that have committed to something or done anything and who have a partner like that, they're fucking guaranteed. Like, if you're a dude and your missus, like, doesn't miss a trick, the next time you want to achieve something, just tell her.
Tell her that's what you want.
Tell her that's what you want, because, like, she's going to call you on your bullshit if you don't actually do it, and that's essentially what you want. Like, you don't want the missus that just tells you you're fucking perfect every single day, because let's face it, you're not.
Yeah.
So, find a missus that is going to call you on your bullshit.
Do the small things. Tell someone you're going to do the small things, and make sure you do it.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome.
We'll cut it there.
Yeah, we'll kill it there. Thanks for listening. Once again, if you find value in that episode, share it with a friend and give us a 5-star rating. We would much appreciate it. Peace out.